Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we ask if Magnus the Red was in truth responsible for the Horus Heresy. A general spoiler warning to begin, as today we will be referencing events from across the Warhammer 40k universe, and in particular the Horus Heresy. So you have been warned, but with that said, let's just jump straight in. Okay, so the beginning of the Horus Heresy is obviously legend. The fall of Horus Lupercal and the corruption of chaos, the origins of which have been revealed to have been seeded even earlier, with the raising of Monarchia, the Emperor chastising Lorgar's worship, leading him through grief and resentment to seek a replacement deity, which he found all too willingly in the Pantheon, the Ruinous Powers. A move all too willingly eased by the likes of Corpheron and Erebus. And so, for some, Lorgar and the Word-Bearers bear the mantle of responsibility. For others it remains Horus, the choice still ultimately his to make. However, while going back over tons of lore for the Magnus the Red's opinion of his brother's uploads we've done earlier in the week, the question did pop into my head of, was it all Magnus's fault? Does he bear responsibility? Now, I'm sure many of you are now asking, what on earth are you going on about, Rho? We saw Magnus's heresy story, and it was one filled with tragedy. He was never disloyal. And yes, that's true, I do not disagree. You can feel Magnus did nothing wrong, and was a victim of circumstances. Or like me, you can feel he made well-intentioned, catastrophic mistakes. In his arrogance, it has to be said, that led to his downfall, while still always remaining loyal. However, what I'm actually thinking of here is long before the heresy. The Thousand Sons were a powerful legion, blessed with the gift of Magnus's psychic power. As such, they were a force that punched well above their weight, the numbers that they possessed. But it was a gift that became a curse, a power that was not able to be properly contained. And thus the warp change began to plague the Legion. Horrific mutations and eruptions of power the Astartes were helpless to stop. Magnus, in his desperation, seeking a miracle solution, cried out into the warp, where there was an all too willing power waiting to assist. It's never really covered in depth in the Heresy series. However, the closest we get is in the aftermath of Horus's fall. When Magnus fails to stop Horus from falling, recounting what had transpired to his sons, he reveals Horus had been pushed into the open arms of chaos, a power of the warp previously unknown. But there's a flicker in Magnus's aura that Ahriman notices, that Magnus is lying, that he did know of this power previously. And then later, after realizing the catastrophic mistake he's made in attempting to warn the Emperor via warp power, destroying his grand project and flooding the webway, Magnus is spoken to by a mysterious voice, in the many reflections of his own eye in a broken mirror. "You know what I am," said his reflections, "or at least you should." One splintered eye shifted, swirling until it became a fiery snake with multicoloured eyes and wings of bright feathers. The beast he had killed beneath the mountain of Agoru. It changed again, morphing through a succession of shimmering forms until Magnus saw the shifting, impossibly massive form of the shadow in the great ocean. "I once named myself Corazon to you. the Dweller in the Abyss, and the Demon of Dispersion. But those are meaningless labels that mortals hang upon me, obsolete the moment they are uttered. I have existed since the beginning of time, and will exist beyond the span of this universe. Names are irrelevant to me, for I am every name and none. In the inadequate language of your youngling species, you should call me a god. You were the one that helped me save my legion, said Magnus with a sinking heart. Save? No. I only postponed their doom, said the Shadow. That boon is now ended. No, cried Magnus, please never that. There is a price to pay for the time I gave your sons. You knew this when you accepted the gift of my power. Now it is time to make good on your bargain. I made no bargain, said Magnus. Not with the likes of you. Oh, but you did, laughed the Eye. Magnus, whether unwittingly or not, made a pact with Tzeentch to save his legion. And this was long before Horus's fall, long before Lorgar's pilgrimage post-Monarchia. And so it really raises the prospect, the realization, that Magnus was the first Primarch Chaos manipulated, the weak link they found, and that quite possibly it was Magnus who helped the gods realize the Primarchs could be manipulated. That the generals the Emperor had made to lead his war against them were reachable. Because make no mistake, yes, the Primarchs were made to conquer the physical galaxy, but that was all essential, all a part of the Emperor's war against chaos. And I know we're digressing here, but L. Johnson finding the Emperor's shield waiting for him within that warp echo of old Caliban really feels to me that the Emperor intended the Primarchs to be involved in the next stage of the war too. However, I digress. Was it Magnus who gave the gods encouragement to continue with the Primarchs? Was it Magnus's weakness that led to what would later transpire? Does his deal with Tzeentch make him responsible for the heresy? Now maybe the obvious answer is no, and rightly so. Again, that was the actions of Lorgar and the Wordbearers, and the choice of Horus himself. No relation to Tzeentch and Magnus's bargain. I mean, you hate to pile on Magnus really. His story is already tragic enough. Chaos would have most likely just kept on trying regardless. And of course we have the lost Primarchs to consider here. Though we don't know how or why they failed the Emperor, we know they were wiped out by Russ and his legion, performing their executioner role. Logically, we assume Chaos was involved, though considering the secret of Chaos's existence, that does make it hard to accept it was down to them. Most likely a failure in another way. A topic maybe we need to discuss another day some more. However, I do have to admit, I think Magnus did expose a weakness within the Primarchs, and I think him naively giving in to the bargain in his desperation did in fact reveal to the gods that the Primarchs were reachable, that the Emperor's own sons were not infallible. And I think any time one of the Pantheon has success, it only ever encourages the others. But as always everyone, what do you think? Was Magnus's deal with Tzeentch in its way the first step towards the heresy? Does that make him ultimately responsible for it? And did he expose a weak link in the Primarchs for the ruinous powers to expose? Did he unwittingly encourage them to continue? As always everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below. A huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.